not need protein. You need to make it. You need to manufacture it. And eating protein is not the most effective way of making protein. Just like eating your hair is not going to make you grow more hair.
The health of your erectile functions is directly correlated to your cardiovascular function.
100%.
Joining us today are Miguel Bertonati, a leading biohacker and clinic director at the Medical Health Institute, known for personalized hormone therapy.
And Carlos Bertonati, co-founder and head manager dedicated to innovative functional medicine. Stay tuned for an insightful discussion.
93% of Americans are suffering from some kind of metabolic dysfunction.
What kind of amino acids are you doing? You doing like
We're talking
essential amino acids.
These
Not
nasty-
BCAAs. Not BCAAs.
Did you know about the French study? 2,500 people when the sea hit over 50 years of age. They were doing a study on cancer patients. None of them got sick. None of them.
Wow.
And they were all taking methylene blue.
Let's go to another system of the body, immune system.
I would say, like, we get this a lot. Like, oh yeah, I tore my bicep like 15 years ago. I want to use VPC and thymosin beta 4.
A little too late.
It's like, dude, no.
Cognitive health, brain health. What peptides do we got?
Well, I have to caveat with one thing.
So we lost the weight. Now
We lost the weight.
We're ready to perform, right?
That's
So-
a good way where you lined it up.
so what I want to talk about, and there's obviously a lot of different peptides out there, but I want to hear the top 2 peptides for performance.
You mean like muscle, like physical performance?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to say too.
I would say like pound for pound without like it depends. Like if cost
I know
is,
which one I like.
If cost is not if money is not a factor, then the greatest one that is out there. I mean, I would say tesamorelin.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's the one I
Yeah,
take.
the tesamorelin. But I'll tell you, but pound for pound in terms of building muscle density, IGF-1LR3 has shown to we were trained by Dr. Mark Gordon. Shout out to him. He's like the growth hormone guru. And he likes it for muscle growth. He likes it even better than growth hormone because it's very specific for muscle
I know a lot of
density.
doctors that like tesamorelin better than growth hormone.
Yeah,
They
so
get higher
but
levels.
look, it depends. I mean, for example, it depends on the somatotype, right? If you're an ectomorph, really skinny, and you have a really difficult time hacking on muscle, doing IGF-1 or 3 with something like MK677, which is not technically a peptide, but let's just put it in that category. You'll build muscle, right?
Big,
if you're looking to get some muscle and burn fat, you can take like tesamorelin, but with ipamorelin, because here's what we need to distinguish. We have growth hormone releasing hormones, which are at the hypothalamus pituitary commanding centers. And then we have growth hormone releasing peptides, which work slightly at the pituitary, but more at the liver level, right? So tesamorelin is a GHRH. So think of growth hormone releasing hormones as the agents that fill the tank with gasoline, and the GHRPs are the ones that burn the gas out of the tank or burn the gas out of the engine, right? So when you combine synergistically a GHRH with a GHRP, the synergistic effect is much better than just watching a piano by itself rather than a piano with a guitarist, right? Is you're going to have a much better symphony.
Yeah.
So it's about what symphony are you trying to play here? So, and it's also about learning the half-life of each of these drugs, right? So I'll talk the most available that people were using.
Just so you like people understand. So one produce like tesamorelin with GHRH, basically in layman's term, it produces growth hormone out of the brain.
It secretes it.
Right, so you secrete it out of the brain, and then the regular pathways, it goes to the liver, and the liver has to push it out. But if your liver is not effective, right, it might not push it out at the time that you need it. So doing the combination, one produces it out of the brain, it comes here, and the other one makes sure that it gets out into the bloodstream.
Oh, and to caveat it, for example, if your insulin on your blood work is above 6, I'm not giving you the growth hormone, because the homology, which is the structure of the molecule of IGF-1 versus insulin, 50% of it is identical. So they're competing for the same receptor. Insulin is store fat, grow, right? I mean, store fat and just catabolic. And then IGF-1, insulin like growth factor 1, is growth and anabolic and fat burning, right? So if your insulin is, I don't know, per se 10 or above,
over 6,
it's like trying to swim upstream. Like you're taking a peptide that's trying to trump the insulin response, which is only making it harder for you to actually build the muscle and burn the fat.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure that your insulin is in check. That's the only caveat. So anyways,
for sure.
The point is you take tesamorelin, which it's the most powerful GHRH, with the most powerful GHRP, which would be ipamorelin, right?
And if I can make a connection here, like we're talking about a brain function. This is why when we started with brain function, he said, I actually like to start with the brain function to clear, because if you have someone who's done a lot of drugs and a lot of abuse up here, you can stimulate growth out here, but it's like
it's not gonna
sputtering, right? Whereas like
the
if
spooing.
you clear, if you
Spooing.
clear the brain, like the poo out of the brain, then you know
the signaling effect is
works
sharper,
better.
and you're getting exactly the clear signal of what you're looking for, right?
Yeah.
So, and this again, as you said, you build it up. Now we're talking performance. If we're talking performance, we're talking about you have everything else in check, right?
Yeah.
So now you have a really solid foundation. So these things, we pulse about 3 to 6 times per day growth hormone. Our pituitary, just like our bodies, when we don't work them out, these glands become sluggish. So they don't pulsate as strong. It's meaning you don't get as strong of a pulse of growth hormone and you don't get as enough of it, right? Yeah. And the most amount of growth hormone is released between 8 p.m. and 4 a.m. in the morning. Yeah. So yes, taking a nightly dose is great for restoration of the body in general, to reset it and restore androgens, everything. But taking in the morning is really good for fat burning and building muscle as well. The other thing that I would say is understanding the half-life of the medication. So for example, CJC's half-life is 30 minutes. Ipamorelin is about 2 hours. Every medication has 5 half-lives. So 50%, 75, 87, 93, and 96%. What that means,
losing that much.
What that means, if I take 100 micrograms and if its half-life is 30 minutes, in another 30 minutes, it went from 100 micrograms to 50 micrograms. Then the next half-life is 75. Then it's 87. Then it's 93 until 96 is basically flushed out of your body.
Right.
So when you understand these half-lives, you can pulse these things many times a day.
2-3 times a day.
I've never found a better analogy. Maybe a better analogy will come to your head, but I always thought about when you flush the toilet. What happens when you flush the toilet? You have to wait about a minute for it to fill up. Well, today it's 20 seconds. But you have to wait for it to fill back up before you can flush it again. Same thing you're doing with GHRH and GHRP. You're flushing out of the glands these growth factors into your body so they can take their biological effect, right? Yeah. So if you understand the half-life, you can do them 2 to 3 times a day. I'll give you an example. 3 to 5 IUs of growth hormone, which is a high dose of growth hormone. Technically speaking, you would have to do ipamorelin 3 to 4 times a day at anywhere from 150 to 200 micrograms, or simorelin, which is a GHRH as well, 100 mics 3 to 4 times a day, and CJC as well. Right? So if you know how to pulse them, you flush it out, you let the body reproduce it, you flush it out again, then you're getting these constant pulses and waves of growth hormone into your blood. And if you're working out, you're repairing a lot faster and you're building muscle and burning fat much better.
Yeah. And I would say, if you're going to do it like that, like this is,
this is next level.
Yeah. Like, can you imagine injecting 5 times a day? You know, it's kind of obsessive, right? So this is like, hey, I have a competition, or I'm training for an Ironman,
or I'm going to go jump off at a helicopter. I need to perform.
I need to recover and perform. Yeah. That's applicable. Now, regular life, you would do it once a day. And I would say, from a longevity perspective, because people want to, like, in terms of like the night stuff or the day stuff is good to burn fat and obviously perform when you need it. But as we age, so there's an amplitude. He talked about, like, when we produce growth hormone, the body naturally produces its biggest spike of growth hormone between 8 o'clock at night and 3 o'clock in the morning, right? But as we age, that amplitude, the size of the spike begins to diminish over time. Mm-hmm. So as we age, is always a good idea. You want to work with the body, give the body what it needs when it needs it. Right. So because you want to, because most people are like, oh, why would I need to do it at night? I already produce it at night. I'm gonna do it in the morning. Yeah, great. But at night is when you get all those factors like recovery, right? Sleep, all these things. When
the anti-aging restorative
all
effects.
The anti-aging effects. So you want to, as you age, the amplitude goes down. So that's why as you age, you do it at night to get that amplitude back.
Because it's what's going to restore the body.
Yeah. So that's spike.
And if you take it in the morning, we take it, like, again, since some of these have very short half-life, tesamorelin is about 10 to 12 hours, so I'm not worried about that one. Yeah. But even with that one, You start your first set or 2 sets. You have a little ice pack medical bag, and then you go to the bathroom and you inject, and you get that rush going through you, and you're freaking lifting.
You're doing next level stuff.
And and we're doing it on a fastest state with essential amino acids. Sometimes, depending if I'm under 12 hours, I'll do it without the essential amino acids, because you got to think, when we hunted, do you think we were hunting when we had a full stomach?
No.
Or we were hunting when we were really hungry. And guess why you get that mental sharpness when you don't eat?
Tough.
That brain-derived neurotrophic factor comes from our ancestral living of hunting. Think of a lion when it's hunting. It's quiet. It's so laser-sharp focus. It's the same thing you're working on in the gym. And you get the most amount of BDNF spike. And the only way to reproduce your mitochondria has been proven today is through exercise. So if you're in a fasted state, you take this growth hormone thing, you take AOD, you take MOD-C, SS31, and you take all these supplements and you go and pump weights, you're going to have all types of stimulus happening in your body. You're waking up all these systems, which is what we want. We're not just waking up the body. I'm trying to wake up my neural circuit system, my biochemical system, my nervous system. I'm trying to wake up the body.
You literally get a rush.
Yeah.
So talking about waking up the body, right? We talked about performance, weight loss. We're here. I mean, I look like a sculpture. Right? Now we want to wake up the rest of the body. Sexual health. How are we waking us up?
Well, that one is fun.
Yeah, I mean, look, you know, like, of course we start with layers, right? Like, and when we're talking about sexual health, let's just talk about, you know, like what Miguel went through, which at a young age he had ED, which, by the way, this is kind of like the birth of the company, where it's like, dude, if you had ED at 18, can you imagine how many other people are suffering in silence with this stuff and they're not talking about
40 million Americans.
All right, this is crazy stuff. So I think that the basis for erections is nitric oxide, right? Like, that's just the basis of it. That's what turns on the switch. A lot of people will reach out for the Cialis and I'm sorry, the, you know, sildenafil or the tadalafil, but these are just they're downstream effects of what nitric oxide really accomplishes, right? So we let, you know, Nathan Bryan, I'll steal this from him. Big shout out to him. He explains it this way. He says, look, nitric oxide turns on the switch. Cialis and things like, tadalafil or sildenafil, what they do is they just dim the light brighter for longer, right? But if you don't have nitric oxide, that dimmer won't work.
You won't get any vasodilation unless you have nitric oxide.
So you want the
You need nitric oxide to have that dilation.
Yeah.
So PD5 inhibitors like Cialis, vardenafil, sildenafil, they all can help that vasodilation. But without nitric oxide, you have no vasodilation.
Nitric oxide is extremely important.
And I would start a layer deeper that we started by Dr. Elliot Justin, who we interviewed. He has a device called the FirmTech, which is a device that you put in your penis. It's EMF free. That was one of my questions. Is my penis being electrified here? So when you put it on, it turns off. It's just
like
recording.
an Oura ring for your penis.
Yeah, it's an Oura ring for your penis, and it actually shows, because the health of your erectile functions is directly correlated to your cardiovascular function.
100%.
So if you don't have good, and also linked to your to your deep sleep. So you can actually, when you're getting full on erections when you're sleeping, you're in full deep sleep. That means your body's completely paralyzed. So there's a direct correlation between erectile function and erections throughout the night and deep sleep. So we like to get a baseline. Like, this is, again, going to the root cause, right? And say, oh, I'm having ED. Okay, here's some Cialis. Oh, that doesn't work. Here's some PT44. Okay, it doesn't work. Inject your dick with Trimix. Oh, it doesn't work. Get a pump. Yeah. Let's start with the basics. Let's actually put a ring on it and check out what is the response. So the score goes 1 to 10. It gives you the duration, the intensity, how many minutes you should have, and it gives you an overall score.
That's pretty interesting.
Yes.
I'm going to check that out.
I got one for you.
Does it measure endothelial?
It's
also?
washed.
I'll bring you one.
Does it measure?
It's actually really cool. And I haven't used it. It's brand new.
I hope. I want the seal on that damn box.
It's sealed.
The small one ain't going to work.
What he said, what he said, well, listen, if you can't fit this thing, dude, I want to see it, because this thing expands. Like, I need to see it. But like, no, so what he was saying is cool, because in our practice, like, you know, you get a lot of guys that will come with ED, but remember, like ED and sexual function and you know, libido and all this stuff, like, a lot of it is psychological.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, and I promise every guy in this room, like, you have one missed opportunity, like where friend downstairs doesn't like show up to the party, that can send you on a psychological whirlwind that is so hard to beat, right?
Yeah,
and I've had to deal
well,
with
no,
this.
listen, I speak from hands-on experience. That happened to me. Once I fixed the physical, it was still the psychological effect.
Is it going to work? Oh my God.
Am I gonna?
Don't let me down.
I'm not in the moment, right?
You know?
I'm before I'm even getting to bed. I'm thinking, is my dick gonna get hard? Is my penis gonna work?
So yeah, this is like a really useful thing, right? Because like I said, like if it's psychological, it's really hard to break, right? So, like people will they'll get a hormonal balance, they'll start using the tadalafil, they'll do great, and then they'll go through the honeymoon stage, and then all of a sudden they're like, hey, it's not working as well, and I need more, and it's like they want, tadalafil like Skittles, right? And it's like, no, hold on a second, man. This is not a candy store. Let's figure it out for real. So we use this ring, and look, if the ring shows, which measures 3 to 5 time nighttime erections at a specific duration, a specific firmness score, and you get that consistently every night or for 3-4 times a week, you don't have a mechanical issue. You have a psychological issue, which is also a breath of fresh air for the person that says, oh, it's not mechanical, so I can trust it. It's my mind. So now you have a pathway to heal that, right, without more medication, right? But just like as an overview or general like advice, if you have a sexual dysfunction issue, or a libido issue, because libido is also in the mind, right? But being hormonally balanced, it's really important when it comes to sexual health. Like you could use all the supplements and peptides and all the things in the world, but if you're hormonally imbalanced
or impaired
and you have sexual dysfunction, that's probably the first place to look. Like again, Miguel, this is the direct experience. He tried to uncover every stone. I mean, he practiced everything under the sun, and it wasn't until he fixed his hormones that his sexual function came back. So that's what I would say. But there is a great peptide.
So, there's many. There's oxytocin that really is a love cuddle hormone. Yeah. I've actually taken really high doses intranasally right before sex. It has a very short half-life. Phenomenal.
Does it work?
Yeah, it does. But you have to do it like right before. We'll hook you up eventually. You try, you just have your wife sniff it, you sniff it, and woo! You're on, baby.
I've had the oxygen. They'll actually compound it with the PT-141 too.
Yeah. But I'm talking like 500 to 800 IUs. They usually do like 60 to 120. I'm taking really high doses. Like you feel like you're falling in love right again.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I need that.
It's really good. So that PT-141, which is bromolatide, I can't even say the name always, but just PT-141, which was actually FDA approved for women, female dysfunction, because it works within the central nervous system. So PD5 inhibitors, nitric oxide, all work within the vascular system for vasodilation. This works through the central nervous system to create so much arousal that women have their penis is their clitoris. So they get an erection to their clitoris, and we get an erection. But it makes you hypersensitive in the sense of it makes you really horny.
Yeah.
Really horny.
It stimulates libido in a great amount. Yeah.
So that combined with a little bit of nitric oxide, if you're above 40, you should be on it, period. End of story, you've lost more than 40-50% of your production, depending on your lifestyle.
Interesting thing about nitric oxide, so they used it on special forces, and they took, what was it, 40,000 feet?
Yeah, something like that.
Some ridiculous height from sea level. They took them on a helicopter 40,000 feet, and when you go that fast, right, you get like, you get kind of like drunk.
And not 40, I think it was like 25
You get
or
like,
something.
what's it called? Is it height fatigue? So I forget what it's called. So they were testing them to like take them up really high and drop them and gauge their performance. Because when you go through these elevations, like it takes you time to acclimate, right? So you get acclimation fatigue is what it's called. So nitric oxide, this is what we use it on the mountain like 3-4 times a day, because they took them from from sea level to high elevation using the nitric oxide, and then performance did not falter.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyways, PT-141, oxytocin, and definitely I would add, if you're having ED issues as a man, Shockwave therapy. You can literally buy, it's called the Phoenix. It looks, if Elon Musk can make a device for your penis, it would have been this one. And it's a home device that has the same intensity and therapeutic effect as any, like the Storz medical machine. And you apply it at home, and what it's doing, the acoustical sound waves is causing the plaque to break down. So if you're 40 years old, think about not having an oil change to your Ferrari in 40,000 miles. You break up that microplaque, it induces endothelial growth factors, fibroblast growth factors, platelet-derived growth factors, all these growth factors to regenerate the penis, create angiogenesis, which is formation of new blood vessels. So now all those pipes and cylinders are properly working, so blood can engorge the tissues much easier. And you add something like PT-141, low dose Cialis with nitric oxide, we'll fix you if you have an issue, is the point.
And it's funny because it increases sensitivity, but for me, like when I did it, it actually, I never had premature ejaculation, but this really made me last long. So you know, you can always make sure that she's satisfied first.
Well, one of the things with these type of technologies like the Phoenix that you talk about, the low frequency shockwave therapy, is that it's not only for erectile dysfunction, it can be for performance.
Yes,
For sure.
yes.
So,
But then again,
100%.
the goal, and this is speaking from experience because that's how the whole brainchild operation of this developed, is if you have to pre-plan sex, it takes the whole magic out of it. The goal is to be able to spontaneously respond, so you're ready to go. That's what makes it interesting. That's what gives you the confidence, the masculinity of what makes you identified as you, right? When you're pre-planning it, I'm not going to get into it, but basically 2 previous relationships passed to my wife, beautiful, wonderful women, basically lost them because first impression easy, right? But when you're in a relationship, I had to time it. They're ready to go. Oh no, baby, but it's really no, I can't because I got to take the pill, and it just gets annoying after a while. And then you start kind of sabotaging the relationship because you don't want to talk about it. So if you're having an ED issue, this is something you really want to speak to your partner about. If she's your girlfriend and she dumps you, then that wasn't your girl. And if it was your wife and she supports you and loves you, she's gonna understand. But once you're able to vocalize it. You take that monkey off your back and it just gives you a lot more confidence that, wow, I have support now, right? When you hide it, it's like compressed energy inside of you. But when you're actually comfortable enough and confident to, hey, I have this issue, I know that I can fix it. I can tell you with the utmost confidence that it is completely fixable.
Yeah, we guarantee you, if you do what we tell you, we will fix it.
Yeah, you can fix it, right?
We will fix it.
But once you fix it, that's where life becomes juicy in many ways. And not that sex is everything, but to be able to spontaneously get an erection, I think is very important. So
100%.
PT-141, Viagra, all these, sildenafil, tadalafil, all these things, if you're using them to pre-plan sex, you're still missing the point. We have to fix the root cause. You should be able to get a spontaneous erection. And if you're not, you got to look at it because that's directly tied to your cardiovascular system.
We got all the tools to do it.
Right? And we have the tools for it. That's
amazing. Guys, as we wrap up here, there is something else that you guys offer that is very forward thinking. And I want you guys to touch up a bit on what this is to let people know about this other modality that you have.
I'll let Carlos do that for a second. I'll chime in, but I just want to, we're not going to get into this because we don't have time, but we never got into the longevity aspect. This, what we're about to speak, is the holy grail of longevity, right? In every way, but hold on, in every sense. But we're talking about this could be a treatment anywhere from $38,000. If you have disease, it could cost up to $100,000, right? And believe me, we're under the margin when it comes to that. We're the most affordable out of the few practices that are doing this, that are providing this at a fairly reasonable price for what it is right now. But if you can't, longevity peptides, which is what we want to focus eventually, we were talking about taking, individual peptides, BPC, this. So a beginner will take 1 peptide, intermediate will take 2 peptides, an advanced person will take 5, 10 plus peptides, right? So when we're talking about longevity, you have things like FOXO4, Epithalon, thymosin alpha-1 combined with it, LO37, SS31. You can literally take 10 different peptides at once, and the synergistic effect is going to feed into that longevity aspect that you're looking for. Now, the holy grail is what Carlos about to speak about.
And I'll just wrap up
makes it more affordable is what I'm saying.
Yeah, for number one. Number two, I'll wrap up the show and the whole talk that we did about peptides for people. First of all, let's just kind of recap that, right? Number one, you need to be hormonally balanced. Number two, and even prior to being hormonally balanced, you need to be nutrient balanced.
The foundation.
If you don't get the foundation
fasting,
right,
sleeping,
right? Like we always like to say, peptides are like mango seeds, right? If I give you a mango and you plant it in downtown Miami, or give you a mango seed and you plant it in downtown Amazon, Which one's going to grow better fruit?
Which one is you gonna want to eat?
Of course, the one in the Amazon because of the conditions, the soil. So our job as ethical practitioners is I need to be able to create the Amazon inside of your body, inside of your biochemistry, so that when I plant the seeds of peptides, I'm going to give you a return on investment, which is my job, right? I'm not going to let you, just fall off of a cliff and spend money down the drain. So just to kind of recap, yes, you need to plan the foundation. You need to do the work. We need to get you, the foundation down first. Second thing is you can do peptides depending on the condition, but you can cyclically use them, like Miguel said, kind of like a muscle to wake up those parts in the body that are declining with age. So you don't necessarily have to have a condition to do peptides. Like, for example, we cycle BPC 2 to 3 times a year, not necessarily because I have an injury, just because of this regenerating effect that it has. So, and that goes across most peptides. And, Miguel didn't get into a lot of the longevity peptides, but there's a ton of longevity peptides that are really, really, really great. Now, the coup de grace, or, the holy grail that we have right now in terms of technology is really, really cool and really exciting because it answers a couple of questions that we've been asking ourselves for many, many years. And this is kind of like, the thing about the space, right? Like we are in the longevity space. Well, how do you even define the longevity? How do you even really measure that? Right? Especially when you have to contrast it against a later state in life, right? A future event in life or a future circumstance in life that we have no really control over or certainty over, right? So how do you really calibrate that? And how do you really define longevity? And so then the question that becomes, well, let me ask you, you're 38, right? So imagine we speed up the tape till you're 58, okay? And I say to you, hey, Sam, what would you give me if I could tell you that I can give you a protocol that will literally give you the health, the vitality, and the cellular resiliency that you had when you were 38? What would you give me? Most people would say everything or a lot, right? And the cool thing about it is that we now literally have that technology available to us now. So this is a partnership that we formed with this amazing company called Neo7, Dr. John Catanzaro, who's the founder of the company. Just so you understand sort of the brain of this man, he was a Boeing, a jet engineer for Boeing. He was designing, jet fighting engines for jet,
fighter jets.
Yeah, fighter jets, for fighter jets. And he was the engineer. He would do the interfaces for the engines. And then he became an integrative oncologist.
Wow.
Okay. And then he
25 years.
Yeah, he developed this technology where he was only treating the affluent because he was treating people that were already told by traditional medicine, hey, prepare for end of life. So this guy was not only reversing stage 4 cancers with this technology, but this is the part that really blew my mind. He was making nonverbal autistic children speak in 2 to 4 months.
Wow.
Which you can imagine not only the change of life for the child, but the change of life for the parents.
Of course.
Right? And so just like anything, right? Like, do I need to have ED to use, Cialis for longevity, or for me to benefit from Cialis? The answer is obviously no. Do I need to be obese to benefit from GLPs? The answer is no. Do I need to be, depressed and suicidal to benefit from psychedelic therapy or ketamine therapy? The answer is no. So he took that, right? And by the way, he had retired because he couldn't take the emotional, like imagine seeing people decimated by disease and children and all this stuff. And he retired, and his wife, who's amazing, and we're on a cruise. It was like, listen, you're on a cruise getting fat, when you have the cure for cancer, you need to get your ass back to work. So he comes back to work and he develops this program for longevity, right? And so now basically, and I'll let Miguel kind of chime in because we go back and forth, we kind of see it differently, he basically, they map out 22,000 genes, right? So basically we take a snapshot of your exome, which is sort of like the functional part of your genome, what regulates your neurological system, your digestive system. So he basically focuses right now on the 8 hallmarks of aging, 8 out of the 16 of hallmarks of aging, right? And so he targets that, and we map out 22,000 genes, and he makes a specific peptide, not a BPC that you and I can take, but the SAM peptide that only you can take based on these genetic factors that you have to recode your cells for resiliency. So what do I mean by that? So when you take a testosterone, or you take a supplement, or you take a peptide, that's a protein influencing a protein, right? So this guy goes like 4 layers deeper, where he's now recoding DNA, which then transcribes RNA, which then regulates expression, which then influences the proteins, right? So I can take all of the damage that you've accrued until right now, 38, from, toxicity and your lifestyle and, obviously environmental factors, and I can recode your cells to clean all that up and code new for resiliency. So we're now going at the DNA structure level and leveraging your body's natural pathways to not only calibrate for longevity and performance, but also to cure disease.
Wow.
This is where we're at. And this is the technology that's available to us right now. So remember when we were talking about how am I in my 40s and I'm performing at this level, and it's, and I started going back, and it's like, it's all of this, right? Like, it's not only the nutrition and, planting the seeds and the peptides, but it's also, we did this program, and, when we looked at our before and afters, I mean, just myself, I went up, it was 127% on clothos, on my production of clothos, which was one of the most important proteins in the body, right? And so now I'm able to get my cells and keep them in this state and make them resilient into the future. So when you're talking about remaining this healthy, this, performance driven, and this capable of doing what I do, now I can code to literally slow down that pace.
Wow.
It's incredible.
So, because
Did I cover enough?
Yeah, but that was, I think, a little complicated for the viewer.
For the
And again,
average
this is a constant development in how to speak this in a tongue that's easier to understand, right? So we have 3.2 billion nucleotide letters, ATGC. Those are the 4 letters that make up our entire genome. And they're just coded differently, right? For you, they're coded specific different. So literally, when there's a gene break or a faulty gene, it's like spelling bake versus lake.
Yeah.
It's going to say something very different, right? So the point of what they do is that the exome is the protein coding aspect of our genetics. So there's parts of our genes that are of our genome that is not coding for anything. Yeah. This is the coding part. So whatever it's coding for is sending a function that it's coding for, right?
Right.
So the exposome is the amount of damage we incur through oxidative stress, environmental toxins, viruses, infections, sleep deprivation, stressful situations. It's the sum total of the effect of life that downregulates our genes. So some become underexpressed, overexpressed because they're trying to compensate for others. Remember, your body's always trying to find balance. That's not even mentioning the dysfunctional genes we inherit pre-genetically from our family that are already dysfunctional.
Right.
So the body's already in a disadvantage, but with life, it becomes even worse. So I like to always correct it as we get one set of tires, and what happens every year, you go and you get these tires aligned, because if not, you start eating them out of balance. And then once your tire is gone, you got to change it. The problem here, we only get one set of tires. So how can you keep these tires fully calibrated so you can go as long as you can, whether that's 80 or 80 years of age? Yeah. I don't care to live to 180 years of age if I'm going to be in a cane sick and falling apart. If I'm going to get to 180 feeling like this, fine. Take me when you want. The point is, how long can you go? And the only way you're going to do that is that you got to keep those tires fully calibrated. Yeah. So what this technology does, it helps to recorrect that imbalance of those tires so they're fully aligned into the future. And what it goes through, it's called the omics. Ryan Smith speaks about this. It talks about your genomics, which is your genes, which is the brain, the blueprint. Then that codes for transcriptions, which that's where the messaging transcription factor, where the instruction gets written, but with time, that instruction can become faulty.
Garbled.
The bake or lake type of analogy I gave you. That transcriptomic leads to proteomics, which is the production of proteins. Then metabolomics, which is the production of metabolites. Then epigenomics, which is the environmental effect on our body. And that keeps going on and on and on, right? So we can literally identify now which genes are being overexpressed or underexpressed just like the tires, recalibrate them so oxidative stress is at bay, so
Inflammation.
mitochondrial function is at its optimal, so oncogenic potential, which is your vulnerability to getting any disease, it's low. Autophagy, which is one of the hallmarks of aging, which is how our body cleans up cellular debris and recycles waste, for that to be optimal, right? And then the most important that he emphasizes a lot is called immunophenotyping, which is how our immune system's response and compatibility and adaptability to stressors, how we're responding and bouncing back to them. If we can get the immunophenotype, the immune system resilience of our system to be compatible to our environment, so we're bulletproof, now you can really slow the aging process and code into perpetuity. For
Yeah, but I'm sorry. Like, granted that you're doing the right things. Like, you're not going to be doing this and then smoking cigarettes and coding, eating donuts, because then you're going to code for the wrong thing. But like he was saying, it's like you're taking genes that are off, turning them on. You're taking genes that are on that should be off, turning them off, and then potentiate the ones that are lagging. So now you calibrate those tires.
And then the goal of that, just so I can finish my point, it's basically done here. The goal is because remember how he said, I take BPC, possibly I don't get a response. He gets a response. What's going on there? Yeah. So we have emergency drugs mapped out. Pharmacogenomics is how your genetic makeup is going to react to a drug that it can either kill you or save your life, right? Some drugs that might be good for you might be bad for me.
Right.
Through genetics pharmacology, we have certain genes already mapped out for emergency drugs, but we don't have them for optimization drugs like hormones or peptides. So here is basically not only once you correct the signaling aspect of the system, you get rid of all these faulty genes and you get a clear signal. Yeah. Now, when you take BPC, growth hormone, secretagogue, any other peptide, it's going to be augmented because the cellular efficiency at a molecular level is clear. Yeah. So that peptide is going to take direct effect on what it needs to do, not including traditional drugs. You would respond better to anything because the system is clean. Does that make sense?
Yeah, the communication is very clear.
And
There's no garbling.
And then we're not going to get into it, but now he just rolled out a new product which for vaccines or post-vaccine injury damage. So the vaccine codes for the spike protein, which can replicate into perpetuity and doesn't have an off switch, which can code for proliferation of cancer. It can grow into proliferation of these blood clots that we've never seen. It can grow into producing compounds that are toxic, and that's why people are having mood disorders, depression, insomnia, etc. All that. We can actually map out the damage done, kind of like if you dropped up a bomb. We can actually see the exact effect and the trickling effect, the signaling effect is had down through your genes and recode it to erase it out of your genetic code so you can go back to living your life without any.
Well, even more precise, like he could actually locate the lot number of the vaccine that you took, know exactly what was in there, and then put a kill switch to the spike protein proliferation and then repair the damage.
Wow, that's precision medicine.
This is precision
That's
medicine
precision
to its finest.
To its finest, man.
So
and that's
guys,
it.
to wrap up here, I'm going to ask you guys to describe this biohacker with one word. Only one word. All right?
Which one?
Oh, there's going to be several. So one word. This will be quick.
Okay.
Dave Asprey. Go.
Sellout?
Dave Asprey.
Outdated?
But,
No, one word.
Okay, fine. Damn.
Gary Brecka.
Authentic.
He took about authentic. I'll give him that.
Joe Dispenza.
Deep.
Pioneer.
Peter Artia.
Pisses me off.
Numb nuts.
Yeah. Okay. Last one, Brian Johnson.
Oh my God. Freak.
Weirdo.
All right. That's a wrap. Guys, as we close up here, if there's anyone listening or, listening or watching the podcast and really resonates with today's message, what is one thing that you guys can leave them with?
For me, I would say, going back to the ultimate biohack, know thyself. And, if you really want to be the best version of yourself, that's actually available to us now.
Yeah.
And you just need, look, Michael Jordan dependent on a coach. LeBron James dependent on a coach. Even if whether you're someone at the bottom or even someone, that's like really efficient and just looking for that next edge, I mean, get a coach, get someone who is the real deal and who lives and eats and breathes this lifestyle. The proof is in the pudding. That's part of like a lot of these biohackers that you mentioned. Like when you go to these biohacking conferences, these longevity conferences, 98% of the people that are there, I don't want to look like them.
Yeah.
I just don't.
Look like crap.
And I say this cautiously because I don't want to sound arrogant, but it's like we really live this out every single day, and we will never make a recommendation on something that we haven't personally vetted for a long time, and then our friends, and then our family, and then our patient base.
Right.
So you need to find someone. It's kind of like you don't go to the gym and hire a physical trainer that is fatter than you. Like look for someone who's living the life and like has the results and has a track record of results that you want, and make sure that they're ethical and that they're not just selling you stuff. That's
Absolutely.
what I would say.
What was the question again?
What you can leave if someone resonates with today's message? What can
I
you leave
would
them with?
say that if you're sitting in victimhood, which a lot of us do, you have no excuse today with me. Because today, I just think of our parents back in the days. They had to go to a library, find a book that's outdated. They had to get in a car. It was really hard to learn stuff back in the days. Today, you have this device that works better than the NASA computer in the 80s.
Yeah.
And now you have AI, which you can train it to literally give you information based on literature that's validated with peer-reviewed studies.
Mm-hmm.
And you can literally show up to a doctor's office, record that, and go back home and basically get more information than your doctor ever gave you.
Yeah.
We're just tools. We've already done the homework. Now, we still use AI to help us remind and put things together. But today with AI, you can literally do anything you want. I don't care how sick you are. I don't care how dysfunctional you are. If you take and you get out of the victimhood mindset and you take control and you start doing the research and you get hungry, just a little hunger, and you start looking and digging and researching and finding people who embody this art of medicine the way we do, you will solve any problem. I believe that. Look, I'll close out with this. Our medical system has a tradition pill for a nail approach. And we have over 30,000 classified diseases. And there's a profound philosophical understanding that all of you need to understand. Everything starts because of a dysfunctional cell. If you fix the components of the cell, or you learn how to nourish that cell, you will eradicate disease.
Yeah.
You will eradicate any condition. And if drinking is a way for you to connect or have an outlet, I'm here to tell you that you're going in the wrong direction.
And you can find a better place.
There's
and you know what?
better
And
place.
also look for someone else. I'll finish with this. That's great. Find someone that's has spent the money. Like when I mean we put our money where our mouth is, like we spend the money.
Right.
We have, not only do we take money and reinvest it back into our company in terms of like servicing our patients, like technology that make your process easier, faster, better, more cost effective. But we spent $200,000 in research testing products on the market so that you don't have to.
Yeah.
Right.
Because that's another thing. Like you could go, oh, which magnesium should I buy? 1,000 brands. Which one is trustworthy?
Yeah.
Which one's clean?
We're only giving you what we take.
Yeah, we're doing that because we're living it. I'm doing it, and I'm feeding my mom, my dad, my
Kids, family,
yeah,
cousins,
my
everybody.
wife's entire family, my nephews. Like I feed them this stuff, so I need to
Absolutely.
make sure that it works for me. And so find someone who's congruent.
I love that. Guys, where can people find you?
medicalhealthinstitute.com or mhilife.com. Our Instagram is Medical Health Institute.
Yeah.
I don't even know
and
what
if
else.
you're calling, if you're watching this, if you made it to all this way, congratulations. I applaud you. I might give you a bunch of gifts, but just make sure that you tell us that you came from Healthy POV and we'll hook you up, man.
Yeah, no, you'll get a 10% discount if you mention healthy POV to any of our wellness coaches, which these are professional wellness coaches that have been fully vetted and curated. You will get a 10% discount on behalf of Sam.
Yes.
And
we'll take good care of you. We'll make sure that we'll put you on a VIP list.
There we go. Guys, amazing. It was a pleasure to have you guys on the podcast.
Hey, man. Thank you so much. God bless you, man. We really appreciate it.
Guys, as you guys heard how Carlos said, every great athlete has a coach. So you got to make sure you have your coach who's guiding you through this process. It's extremely important for you to take care of your health. Your health is one of those currencies that you just won't trade for anything. You're not going to trade it on the stock market. You got to take care of it, because without your health, you're not going to do any of the stuff that you're doing today. So make sure you like, subscribe, share, do all that fun stuff. Make sure you follow these guys at MHI. Right? I almost said MIH, but it's MHI. And guys, do all that fun stuff. Share it, follow, tap, click, subscribe, and we'll see you for the next one.